Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. We consider it a privilege to be able to connect with you and to serve you during this time, to be able to be on your screen. I don't know if I'm on your phone screen small like this or on your big TV screen in the middle of your lounge. I'm just so glad to be able to connect with you. If you'd like to connect with us, if you'd like to send us a praise report, celebrate with us what God has done in your life, what the answered prayers are, and send us a WhatsApp and the number somewhere here on the screen. And we also want to pray with you. We want to walk with you, want to walk a journey with you. Send us a WhatsApp there if you have any praise report or prayer request. And if you find this message helpful, if you think of someone in your world that you feel like, hey, they'll find this video helpful, why don't you share it right now? And this time, go send them a WhatsApp. Hey, this is the link. Why don't you watch it with me?
I was born into a Muslim family. I grew up in Heideveld, then Pontyville. I went to the Nurul Islam Madrasa. That's where I got my Islamic education. I grew up, my mom was very poor, but I grew up with my granny, which wasn't rich, but she wasn't also, she wasn't also in the poverty line. I did sleep warm every night, except not at my mom's house because my mom had a no good husband. Alcohol destroyed my stepfather's life. I accepted the Lord when I was at the age of 16, but I had lots of doubts, I had lots of questions. The first time I heard the Bible story was when I was in school, and the teacher spoke about Jesus being the Son of God. And then went to the madrasa and spoke to the imam and asked him, why does Muslims believe that Jesus is not the Son of God and that he's a prophet? And why does a Christian say that he's the Son of God? And he said, Islam asks no questions, demands no proof. What you are taught, you believe. One day I had a dream. I dreamed that it was my janaza, which means it was my funeral. And I saw people saying the prayers, making du'as, the Muslim prayers. And I appeared before God. And the answer that he asked me was, what have you done with my son Jesus? It was like a voice coming out of light speaking to me, what have you done with my son Jesus? And I woke up crying, saying, give me one more chance. Lord, just one more chance. And what happened was someone once invited me to a little assembly of God in Pontyville, and that's where I gave my heart to the Lord. And I was 16 years of age. Yes, I married, had 3 kids, and the Lord has really blessed me with a wonderful husband. His name is Samuel Damans. I do home care. I work, take care of Karen's mom, sweet old lady, love her to bits. I lost my son when he was 25 years old. Yeah, and that was about now 10 years ago. St. Montague Village retreat. Very nice, it sounds saints, but it's actually called Lavender Hill. It's a very, very tough area. It's not easy living there. It's not easy. It's not easy when you hear that the gunshot flies like doves.
Have you heard gunshots?
Lots. If God blesses you, He blesses you to be a blessing. the Lord has blessed me abundantly. He has blessed me. I'm living in Lavender Hill, but I'm living there now by choice because the Lord has made a way for me. I don't need to live there. I don't need to, to experience the things that I'm still experiencing. But, the best place to be is where the Lord wants you to be at this moment. I do own 2 homes. I think the most wonderful part of it all is there is no bonds attached to no homes, and that we can actually help our kids to have a better life. Delia has a little Friday night little gathering for the youngsters because of the gangsters that pull the kids in with drugs and stuff. So she had a little activity with them. They come and have, used to come on a Friday night and then we have eats and treats for them and telling them about God's love. And it was so nice. It was so beautiful. The reason why I say was because with the lockdown, everything has stopped. And now we are with a feeding scheme where my neighbor is taking it. My neighbor is doing the feeding scheme. There's such a lot of kids that's so hungry. And she decided that she wants to do a breakfast thing for the kids before they go to school. And then I would also add to the list by giving. Then Linda came on board. Actually, she phoned me. Linda phoned me and asked Marita, is everything your side okay?
Linda who?
Linda Anderson. She asked me, is everything okay your side? And I said yes, except, with this lockdown and now the kids, And then she said, I would love to help, and how can I, And then she came on board, and then Louise them also came on board, and then Lynn Alexander she also adds to it. And I thank God also for Glenn, because Glenn adds also to it. And now there's such a big project going on, a massive one, whereby every morning at about 6:30, the queue starts to form. Every morning. It's a big thing going where about 300-400 people gets food every morning. One thing that I can really say is that, that the people can't come that way, but we that lives there, they can send us to make a difference there. So we thank God. There's a reason why we're staying there and we hasn't moved yet. I must really say thank you for People's Church. Really, Pastor. I need really to say thank you for People's Church that comes on board.
We're going to take up the offering right now. And I want to remind you of a scripture, Proverbs 11:24. One man gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. This is a principle of life, and it's a principle that we've seen demonstrated in the testimony that you heard of Marita's. As Sam and Marita have given generously, have given out of the little that they've had, we've seen how God has blessed them materially. Not so one day in heaven, but right here on earth, they have been blessed. And we know that God blesses those who are generous. Let me read that scripture verse again. One man gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. God bless you as you live a generous life. Well done for all your generosity. To give, there will be on the screen the EFT, the SNAP scan, different ways in which you're able to give. God bless each one of you. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 to 6. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood, and you have forgotten that word of encouragement that addresses you as sons. My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes everyone he accepts as a son.
Hi there. We say this a lot, but we really do consider it a privilege that you allow us into your home and that we get to be a part of your Sunday or whichever other day you're watching this. We've started a series called God's Worldview. And for me, it's been such a privilege to be a part of it because I have been digging deep into what the Bible says about God's worldview, how he sees the world, how he sees us. And it's been really, really so cool. And last week, Hans started the series off and he preached such a good message about what God sees in suffering, and he spoke about Job and how Job was in this crazy place and he was suffering and he was just like, I'm not understanding why the things were happening, and how God came to him and he said, listen, I see things differently. I created this world. There's all of this going on that you don't see. And so if you haven't watched that message yet, I encourage you, go look for it. It was really, really good Sunday last week. And so I am continuing sort of on that tangent today, but I'm going to sort of take it one step further. And I want to ask you the question, and ask myself the question, what does God see when he looks at my life? What does God see when he looks at your life? I don't know where you find yourself at the moment, what kind of season you're in. I mean, we're all in this sort of weird, wild world right now where coronavirus is a thing and staying at home is a thing and all of these things. But where is it that you find yourself? Are you encouraged? Are you excited about life? Are you motivated? Or do you feel like you're failing? I don't know. Different people are in different seasons and in different places depending on your circumstances. But wherever it is that you find yourself, God is also in this mix, and he is watching and he is seeing your life, and he's aware of your wrestle. He's aware of your desires, and he is aware of our motives. And he sees the full picture. And I don't know if you ever think about this. I don't know if you've asked God the question, Lord, what do you see when you look at my life? Or if you've made assumptions about it even without realizing. But is this something you think about? It is something I think about. And in Hebrews, our lives are described as running a race. It says that God has set out a race for us to run. There are things that God created us for. There are things that he calls us to. There are almost these things that he expects us to conquer, if that's the right word. And this racetrack has been carefully planned, carefully set out for us. And this race has a finish line. It's not just for the sake of running, but there's a goal. We're going towards a point. And it also speaks about a reward, an eternal reward, and that this reward will blow our minds. It actually says that this reward was prepared for you and me before the beginning of time, before we were even created. This reward was ready for us. Now, I don't know if you have ever been on a youth camp or maybe a school camp. I mean, actually, I don't know what camps were like before I started going on them, but the thing that makes a good youth camp is a really good, elaborate, amazing race. Okay, I don't know if you're watching this and you're like, what? But if you've been on a youth camp recently, you'll be like, I know, right? And these amazing races it's like this elaborate race that your team has to complete together, and it usually consists of lots of running, of eating disgusting things, of some team challenge of some sort that you need to complete together, some riddles and some mind games that you need to figure out. And it usually includes some mildly injured and dehydrated teenagers, okay? Let's be honest. So some of the parents are watching this thinking, remind me never to send my kids on church camps. They love it, I promise. Now, actually, I had more experience on these camps as a leader than an actual camper. And maybe some of you watching this can relate. But if you've either been a camper or a leader of one of these camps, you'll know that there's also usually a few people on these camps that just takes it like a little bit too seriously. You know, they take this winning in these games a bit too seriously. Like, these are the people that during the social time on a camp, they'll be like practicing their team cheers and like doing face paint and they're just like a little bit extra, you know, like they go look for clues and strategize and try to find out what the games are. Like, they're just really serious. And if you don't know someone like that, that might be you. I may or may not be that person as well, but I won't elaborate. Now, I remember one year in particular, Hans and I were still dating. We were serving at our church's youth together, and we went on the annual youth camp together. And so both of us ended up leading a team, like a team of teenagers, and we were going to do these games and these amazing races. And so it was probably a camp of about 200 people. I can't exactly remember. But so the first night of the camp is when the teams get divided, you know, and people get put into their teams. And I saw my team before, but it was just a list of names. I didn't know everyone on there. And this night, I watched as Hans's team got all like the really fit kids that look like they could carry like heavy things, you know, and run really fast and like carry each other and just do all these like physical challenges really well. And as I mentioned, amazing races consist of lots of running. And I watched as somehow or another, like all the small kids came to my team, and bless their hearts, I loved them so much. They were the best. And actually, these were like the smartest kids. The only thing was, I looked at all these kids coming to my team and I thought, I don't think these kids can run very fast. And like, I need to win, you know? Like, my team needs to win this challenge. I came ready. I had my face paint. I had my bandanas. I prepared team cheers. You know, I was so ready. And I thought, okay, it's time for a strategy. It's time for a strategy. I need to win. I may not have the biggest, fittest kids in my team, but my kids are smart, and we're gonna find a way to do this. Now, the day of the amazing race arrives, and there was this list of challenges that you needed to complete in the fastest time that you could possibly manage. And then obviously the first team over the finish line wins. But there was a catch, because you couldn't cross the finish line without your team flag and without every member of your team. So I was thinking about this and we were strategizing. So we decided, or I decided, that we were not going to run the fastest. We knew that. So I decided that we were going to focus on stealing the other team's flags, because if we steal their flags, they can't cross the finish line. And so we delay them, giving us a bit more time to finish our challenges and get across the finish line, right? And so long story short, my poor team may have felt like they came to army boot camp rather than actual church camp. And so we managed to steal so many of the other team's flags. Okay, I mean, my team was running around, hiding flags, like trying to get them, like defending our flag. Like it was crazy. And so all the while we were progressing, doing our challenges, spirits were high. And I was watching this because I was like, I can't believe it. Like, I was so proud of these kids. We were winning. Like, it was great. And anyway, once again, I said long story short, this story is really long, sorry. But we eventually got to the finish line. So excited. But only to find that without us realizing, another team already crossed the finish line with their flag and all their team members. And secondly, when you get to the finish line, there's somebody who like checks that you collected all your clues, that you completed all your challenges. And it turns out that we didn't complete all our challenges. We misread some of the things on our page, which, like, the irony, because all the kids in my team were so smart and so clever. And I felt so bad because even the teams who came dead last beat us because they completed all their challenges and they got all the points for their challenges. We didn't get the points for the sections that we didn't complete. And I was so bummed because I cost my team their reward. But this was me losing focus completely of what the goal was. The goal was to complete the challenges, and the other stuff were just like extras, distractions, or bonuses maybe. But somewhere along the line, I got it totally mixed up. And it cost my poor team their reward, as I said. I don't know if you can relate in real life, but this is actually not too far from what our real lives look like sometimes. This real life race that we're running, that Hebrews is talking about. Because when we look at this race, this life that we have to live, the things that God has called us to do, we often feel like we can take shortcuts, or that we need to take shortcuts because we don't have it in us to run the full race properly. We get distracted by some temporary rewards sometimes, things that make us feel like we're ahead or like we're getting ahead, and things that make us feel good or better about ourselves. And this often causes us to make some very inaccurate conclusions about our lives. I was so sure that our team was winning while we were stealing those flags, but when I eventually got to that finish line, I realized, I made premature conclusions, very inaccurate conclusions. And so what we think and what we see is often very different to what God sees. I think when God looks at our lives, at where we are in our race and how we are doing, He looks for different things than we look for. God is impressed by different things than we are impressed by. God is disappointed even by different things than we are disappointed by. And you know what? I think God even cheers for different things than we think. I love the scripture in Matthew 5. You probably, if you have any sort of church background, you probably know this well. It's the Beatitudes, and it's Matthew 5 from verse 1, and it says, "Now when Jesus saw the crowds, He went on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to Him and He began to teach them." And I want to pause there for a second because I spoke about this verse to Jeff, our senior pastor, while I was preparing. And he pointed out to me that Jesus said that what He was about to say after looking at the crowds. So He was looking at the crowds, probably thinking something. And then He said, "Hey, disciples, come here. I want to tell you something. This is how these guys are doing it. And I think they're a bit confused, and I think they have this thing upside down because this is how things actually work." And then it continues on. It says, He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Sorry, I know I'm interrupting a lot reading, but But you know, there's this hashtag blessed sometimes when you post a picture of your beautiful family at the beach at the sunset, you'll say hashtag blessed, or when you get a new car, which we love to celebrate with you, we say hashtag blessed. And it's true, we are blessed with these things, but it's not often that we put something on Facebook and say, man, you know, I just really lost something dear to me, or I'm going through stuff and it's really hard for me, hashtag blessed. That's not how we operate. We don't consider ourselves blessed when we mourn. It continues, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. You know, if I come home to Hans and I come home and I said, you would never guess how blessed I am. I was trying to do something good for this person and they cursed me and they were rude to me and they treated me like, how blessed am I? No, that is not how we operate. I come home and I think, you will never believe the cheek. Like, oh my goodness, like, you know, what have I done to deserve this? That is the response that we have. But verse 12, it says, rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. God has set out this race for you and me to run, a unique race for each one of us. But the way that we make progress might not always be how we think. If you ask me to put together a Blessed Are You series of things to me indicate that I am making progress, that I am hashtag blessed, that I am, you know, in a good place and flourishing, I would probably say something like, blessed am I when I feel like I've got a good grip on life, when my circumstances are good and when people see that I'm flourishing. That would be an example. Or blessed am I when I'm strong and confident in my calling and when my ministry is growing and expanding, right? Blessed am I when I'm happy and things are going according to plan. Blessed am I when I'm respected and when I've managed to climb the ladder of influence. Blessed am I when I've got it all figured out. Blessed am I when I get a promotion. Blessed am I when I don't have to worry about money anymore. Yes, Lord. Blessed am I when I'm considered to have made a success of my life. Blessed am I when I've managed to make my life comfortable. As I said, what God sees and how God looks at my life and my blessedness and my progress is very different to how I look at it. And I just want to add, I feel like I just need to add that it's not that God doesn't want these things, that wealth or success in your career or any of these things are bad. Happiness, I mean, happiness is something good. And it's not like God doesn't want these things for us. But I'm just saying that God doesn't see happiness and wealth and all of these things as the goal and the good thing that we're trying to pursue, and suffering and trials as the thing we need to avoid. He doesn't look at it that way. He looks at our lives in the light of what we need in order to get to the finish line. He's cheering for us because he has thoughtfully and lavishly prepared a reward for us. And he's rooting for us to get to that finish line. It actually says in Hebrews that there's a whole cloud of witnesses that is cheering for us to get to the finish line. They can see that it's there and they are cheering. They know it is right there. But he doesn't want us to get to the finish line the way that I got to the finish line at that camp. full of regret and disappointed. He wants us to get to that finish line worthy of the reward that He has prepared for us. James 1 from verse 2 to 4. I love how it says, just listen to this. It says, "Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work in you, so that you may become mature and well-developed, not deficient in any way." Perhaps the season has forced you to face the fact that you're not as strong and self-sufficient as you would like to think. To be honest, that's actually been the case for me. Perhaps you're dealing with trial after trial after trial at the moment, and maybe you feel like the business that you've built for years is in jeopardy, and you feel like your whole life's work is going down the drain. Maybe you have come to a place where you just feel stuck and discouraged or despondent even. I've been speaking to some friends, and they were just saying how some days this feeling of dread comes in the evening because they feel like they're gonna go to sleep now and they're gonna wake up to the same day. They're just gonna repeat the same thing. They're gonna go to sleep, repeat the work, deal with the same difficult people. And there's just a sense of, how am I gonna get out of this? I feel stuck, I feel depressed, and I feel like I don't wanna wake up in the morning. And the purpose of this thing is not to try and tell you that it's not as bad as it looks, or, chill, it's not a big deal in the bigger spectrum of things, or, whatever. It is a big deal. And God isn't oblivious to our pain or struggle or our discouragement. We're not trying to just pretend it's not there. But I am saying that the race isn't over yet. And you're still on the racetrack. God is still rooting for you. In fact, as I said earlier, there's a whole crowd of people cheering for you because the finish line hasn't moved. You may feel like you have fallen out of the race, like you've come to a halt, but the reward hasn't changed. And maybe right now is the time when things that you were blind to before, muscles that has never been exercised or worked before, is coming to light. And you're forced to bring those things into action. And you know what? Maybe at this point you even feel like, God, I don't even know how to move forward. I don't even know how to continue to run this race. And you know what? That's not a bad place to be. That's the place where you say, God, I don't know how, but I'll take a small step forward. And I think right now is when God is cheering the loudest and He's saying, come on, this is what I'm talking about. Let's go. We can do this. We're moving forward. I love how it's put in that scripture in James. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well developed, not deficient in any way. Blessed are you when you mourn. Blessed are you when you're poor in spirit. Blessed are you when you are meek. Blessed are you when you hunger and thirst for righteousness. Maybe today when you look at your life, you are actually #blessed. And not because you have more to be grateful for than others, or because there's people poorer than you or worse off than you, not because of that, but maybe you are blessed because you find yourself right in the middle of a trial or a challenge. And it is forcing you to bring your faith life and just your whole life out in the open. It's allowing you to be vulnerable. It's allowing you to receive healing, forcing you to see that in actual fact, I can't do this on my own. I need Jesus. I need the Holy Spirit. There's something beautiful that can come out of this season if we allow it to do its work. So let's not try to escape. Let's not numb ourselves or blame or look for shortcuts, steal other people's flags, you know. Let's come to God as we are and just say, God, do what you need to do in this time. I want to open myself up, and I want you to work in me what you need to work in me. And I actually want that to be our prayer today. And I don't know about you, maybe you can relate to what I'm saying today, and you're saying, God, I'm finding myself in the middle of this place. And instead of running away from it like I usually do, I want to stick here and I want to say, God, do what you need to do until I'm ready to move forward, until I'm ready to take that next step. And if that's you, if you want to pray that prayer with me today, maybe you can just close your eyes with me in sort of an agreement, saying, hey, that's me. I want to pray that prayer. Would you pray with me? God, each one of us finds ourselves in a different season, a different place in our lives, but we want to come to you today, God, and say, we don't want to waste this season. We don't want to waste this time. And in Psalms, it actually speaks about how going through the motions doesn't please you, and a flawless performance is nothing to you. But it says, I learned God worship when my pride was shattered. And it says, heart-shattered lives ready for love don't for a moment escape your notice. And God, we're hoping that our shattered hearts, that our shattered pride catches your notice today, Lord. And we want to just say, Jesus, we're here. Do in us what you need to do in us. We're trusting you with our lives. We're trusting you with this season. And we're trusting that we're going to come out on the other side different to what we are now. We want to trust that you are doing what you need to do in our lives. And so, Jesus, here we are. Take us. We love you, Jesus, and we trust you. Amen. We're going to end this time off, or this sermon off, or whatever you want to call it, with the worship song. And I want to encourage you, don't disengage yet. Use this as a moment to say, God, I'm here. Speak to God. Let him speak to your heart. And I hope that this can be a blessing to you. I hope that this can be a moment for you where you connect with Jesus. And if you want to take a more practical next step, if you want to reach out to us, we would love that. We would love if you send us a message and let us know, hey, this is a decision that I've made, or this is just something that God has spoken to me about. And so we would love to hear from you. There's a number on the screen or an email address on the screen, and we look forward to hearing from you. So we're going to worship now.
And the crushing and the pressing, you are making new wine. And the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. So I yield to you and to your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me your vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. Hey, you are breaking new ground. So make me your vessel. all you